forgotten that I even wanted to go live on Instagram too. So Instagram, you out of luck today. It's not working. Thank you for tapping those hearts. I really appreciate it. Bama for life. I see you checking in. How you feeling this morning? Come on, IG. I like live on IG. You just don't want to work for me today. Anywho, let's see. All right, so today we are diving deep into why they never taught us ownership. Many of us probably already know most of the reasons why they never taught us ownership and financial literacy, but today we are breaking it down so that we won't get caught in a rat race. We will live a life where we recognize that ownership is key to success, is key to building a legacy, and it's just key to feeling really good about your damn self. Okay? Let's just be honest. So let's pull up our pictures today. Thank you for following, Deborah. I do have some pictures to help us explain this today. Let me pull those up. Let's see. I gotta find my picture. Oh, that's not good. Where's my TikTok version? You know what? Everything don't want to work today, so let's just scratch the pictures, y'all. It ain't coming up right. It's just one of those days. Oh, there we go. Now I want to pop up. All right. So why they never taught us ownership? Let's dive in. I'm just all over the place. I can't even lie. So think about this, guys. How can people create enormous, wealth later in life? How can people create enormous wealth, okay, but later in life they don't own anything? And generations later, they don't own anything. We see this a lot when you talk about coming from hood to hooded. You see this a lot, right? You'll see generations after generations being held down by poverty. Everyone is working so many shifts, so many hours, generation after generation. Where is the legacy? That's why legacy is so important. How can people build entire economies yet still be trapped renting? Okay, because our people build economies. We contribute billions of dollars to the GDP. We contribute billions of dollars to the economy. But we still are trapped by renting. Not just renting somewhere to live, renting cars, renting life, subscriptions. It's kind of like renting everything, right? They just name it subscriptions, but really it's renting. We rent ChatGPT, we rent everything now. Everything is rent, if you think about it, kind of, right? How can people go from land stewards, which is my ancestors, the American Indians, the Neji, the Mississippi Mound Builders, the indigenous autochthonous people of Turtle Island? How can we go from being the land stewards, meaning this land was granted to us, the soil, we were born on this soil, we belong on this soil. How can we be pushed into overcrowded cities, high rent, debt, and into survival mode? How is that possible? Just think about it. Why we were taught how to work, but never how to own. That is a big problem. That's a big problem for me, and that's what we're talking about today. Why we were taught to work so damn hard, to hustle every day, But are we hustling backwards? Are we hustling for nothing? Are we sending the kids out into the jungle with no type of tools so that they can know how important it is to be an owner? Are we? Do we equip the youth with the skills that they need to really make it? Do we? I think the fuck not. I think the not. A lot of kids you'll see home, but that's not every home. Some homes pass down legacy. They pass down generations of wealth. I just was talking to a dentist, recently, and they were like, yeah, of course the dentist he's Caucasian, right? He was like, yeah, I got one child about to graduate dental school, my other child just started dental school, and my other child is doing hygiene. This is what we call legacy. He owns multiple practices, right? And he's passing the wealth down. Many times in our communities, we don't pass the wealth down because we don't have any wealth to pass down. And that's mostly to be blamed on colonization. Thank you for following on TikTok. Make sure y'all go ahead and tap those hearts. Okay, I can't even. Come on. Make sure y'all tap those hearts. Thank y'all for joining in this morning. Right? So I think that is a big, big problem that we don't give the next generation the tools that they need to be successful. That's why this podcast exists, because we can't be playing it around here. Yes, we.
Not around here, partner. Not around here.
Not around here?
Not around here.
We got to talk about this. Okay? Because it's just not fair. It's not fair, but that doesn't mean we can't change it. Okay? So if you're one of the people who are not going to allow history or everything that is held against you to hold you back, then you my type of people. You my type of person. Because I refuse to let anything trick me out of my spot, have me stuck in a rat race where I can't even learn about ownership on my own. And I don't try to encourage other people to seek better no matter where you come from. Okay? Some of you might be asking, what do you mean by that, Dr. Shon?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Okay? And we're going to get into what exactly I mean by that. Why we were taught how to work and never how to own. Right? Never how to own. That's the conversation. So this isn't about money. This is about the psychology behind not teaching people how to own, and why we were never taught how to own, but we were taught how to survive. We were taught how to hustle. But if the hustle don't lead to ownership, then what are we doing? Because you hustling for somebody to be an owner. And maybe they're the owner of your time. Maybe they're the owner of your mind and your life and your trajectory. Maybe they are the owner of your journey because you don't know how to own shit. Because you yourself. Okay? This is about psychology. I think my connection is messing up, which sucks. So if y'all can see me on TikTok, tap those hearts, because it's saying my connection is messing up. I don't know why I'm having the most difficult time this morning with this connection. Maybe this topic is just like, but either way, we're going to get through it. So this is about the psychology behind it, the history behind it, the power behind it, the land, identity, and ownership. Because guess what? If you control ownership, you control your freedom. And if you deny ownership, you create dependence. So some people are like, oh, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with this ownership stuff. This means you're creating dependency. If you don't teach ownership, you're creating young people who only know how to depend on other people to support themselves. So today we're talking about the hidden war against ownership, because there is a hidden war, from the mound builders to Tulsa to redlining to modern debt culture to now with the maps. But we'll get into that later, because I feel like a government built on a poisonous foundation, it doesn't have any good to it. It's been going on. But what we want to know most importantly is, how do we break free mentally? How do we break free financially, spiritually, economically, emotionally? How do we break free from the rat race? How do we go from hood to hooded? Get at me. What? Why did I just read that? Why did I just read that? You know. I don't fold to religion, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's some Christopher Columbus type thing. That's just what I feel. You know, to each his own. But religion, Christianity doesn't tie to my people. It just doesn't tie to our people. Christianity has never given us wealth, if you think about it. We have generations and generations of Christians and no wealth, no ownership. You feel me? So this is not one of those podcasts where we just sugarcoat it and we say, you know, everything's going to be okay as long as I got my religion. Because we know that that's not true. Somebody wrote, why would the colonizer strip everything away from you but give you good religion? Just think about that. You got to think about that. Why are they going to give you good religion? They don't even want you to be able to have a say-so in their current modern day, gerrymandering system. And you think they gave you, come on. That's the one thing they don't ever want to take away from you, because why? It keeps you tapped out of ownership. It keeps you believing that someone is going to come and save you. Yes, we have a creator, but did colonizers give us the creator? I think the fuck not. You just got to read and understand. And you just got to overstand and know that people will play in your face all day when it comes to religion. You feel me? Okay? Because my people have been on their knees begging, praying, please for a long time. But you see me, I still had to go from hood to hooded. I still had to go and get it out the mud. Learn the history about how colonization put me in this spot, but it couldn't keep me in this spot. That's why you'll know I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, because I didn't get caught up in the matrix. And you'll have people come around, well, just, trust in religion. I'm not saying I'm spiritual, just not religion. I just can't do the religion. I just read too many things about Constantine and him legalizing Christianity and them having a Christian army, and the Christian army going around the world unaliving people if they were not Christian white male prince. And once I saw that, I can't fuck with it. Once I saw Christopher Columbus bring his, slave Bible over here and say, dang, these people look like they're so happy. They don't know any war. They don't know any hate. And then he said, we got to get in the Bible. They're going to be easy. He said, he talked about us like we was some 304s. He said they're going to be easy to convert to Christians. So you got to do your reading. You got to know what you got to overstand, go back in time and understand what you studying, what you're so in love with, because it might shock you. We're not talking about that today. We're just talking about ownership. But because that was dropped in the comment, I had to just say that. Because ownership means control. Are we in control right now? Ownership means you have leverage. It means you have inheritance. Freedom. That's a big one. Freedom. Okay? Options. It means you have peace. A lot of young people leave and they enter the world. They don't have no control over their life. They're not owners unless they got wonderful parents who have invested into them, who have poured into them, who believe in them, who setting them up for success. But when you come from the hood, baby, listen, that is not how it go. It's, hey, get a job, go depend on somebody to help you become somebody. It's not, hey, you have options. You are a free person. I'm passing this down to you. I'm passing that down to you. You're inheriting good credit. You're inheriting financial literacy. You're inheriting all these different things that you need to help you control your life and be in control of your peace. A lot of young adults graduate, it's the happiest day, but they don't know that they're going into a world where they will never ever have peace again if they don't fight for it. Ownership determines where you live. It determines what you eat. It determines how you think, how stressed you are, and whether your children inherit assets or struggles. So my thing is, if we've been doing all of this religion, we should be inheriting some type of assets. We shouldn't keep inheriting suffering. We shouldn't keep inheriting the struggle. But guess what? The whole purpose of colonization is to break your spirit and allow you to inherit nothing so that you can become a chattel forever. You think that you not in chattel slavery, but when they penny pinch you, when the math don't math, when the inflation rises and the minimum wage still $7, but they know you need $66 an hour, but nobody making that. Even the highest of the highest in some of these fields aren't even hitting that. That's an impossible system to survive. Even rent now, $2,000-$3,000. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? It's gonna keep you stressed the hell out and never becoming an owner unless you crack the code. Unless you realize, damn, the matrix is gonna keep me in a slump forever. You gotta realize this, and this is hard truths. Of course, nobody don't want to talk about the real truth. They don't want to talk about the history because we in the now. That's so far ago. But see, I have to go back to the history because I was never really a fan of history for real. Because when I was learning about history in school, it was like, oh, you started as slaves, da-da-da-da. You don't want to learn that shit. Sitting in school, they telling you that your dark skin is bad when your dark skin is a defense system against the ultraviolet rays from the sun. Why would I want to listen to them tell me who I am when they think that my skin is bad? They're teaching their kids that my skin is bad. My skin is ugly. But when I learn about my skin, I realize that it's magical. You feel what I'm saying? It's magical. A lot of young kids go to school getting bullied because they feel like they're learning in school that when the sun hits your skin, you glow. Look at my connection. It gotta be brain.
So rich, we don't chase lights. We are like, we glow, better let 'em know. We glow, better let 'em know. Sun hit the skin, watch the whole vibe glow.
Hey.
We glow.
So we glow. My connection is dropping in and out, y'all. I don't know what's going on. I might have to end this and start back over, but I'm gonna try to get through this. Or I have to come back and try it again. But either way, make sure you are following. Okay? So that's what it is. Ownership determines a lot. And that's why they never really taught us ownership in school. They don't have a class in high school called ownership. They don't have a class in high school called financial literacy for a reason. Even though this is the basis of what you need to survive in life, they won't teach that. But they're going to teach you some trigonometry. They're going to teach you some geometry. You don't need that to go to work. But what you do need is financial literacy so that when you do go to work, you know how to invest that money so that it becomes something that grows. You turn it into something that helps you, makes money while you sleep at night. So you don't have to clock in for the dollar. You don't have to clock in and turn your body in for every dollar. What you want is to turn those pseudo fake ass dollars into something where it just grow. Royalties, digital products. You're going to make you something. You're going to sell something. You're going to be better than what they thought you was going to be. Okay? So let's break down land ownership. Let's break down land ownership. But first, let me figure out how to... Heck. I think this one's it. Yeah. Let's break it down. The hidden war against ownership is the next topic. The hidden war against ownership. And what do I mean by that? So, what is ownership? What type of things can you own to make you in control of your life? What kind of things can you invest in that will make you have a better life so you're not always on the hamster wheel? You're not always like chasing a dollar. Now you 50, you chasing a dollar, you got nothing to show for it. You just lost in the sauce. You graduate from high school, you don't know nothing but go get a job. You don't know anything about like trading or the stock market or real estate or land. Listen, these things are very important, and if I had known a lot of these things at a very young age, maybe some decisions could have been different. But my path was dentistry. My path was to become a doctor. So I know that I am where I'm supposed to be right now. And I could just look back and try to help other young people do better than I even did. Do way better than me. Have a better and clearer mindset than what I had. If I could just do that one thing, I would feel like I did my big one, I guess you could say. If I could just help one person realize, you know what, Dr. Shon, I'm not going to make the same mistakes you made. I'm not going to make the same mistakes because I didn't have the resources. I'm not going to allow my environment to dictate my future or my vision. I could be better, bigger, stronger than what I see in the mirror before me right now. Even me, I could be better, stronger, and more in control of my life than I am right now. Every day we just get better and better and better. So let's break down ownership. Number one, land ownership. Land, this is number one. With land, you can always have a place to call home. With land, you have something to pass down to your children. If you just investing in rent, this is a bad idea. This is a negative, and this is a liability. It's never going to amount to anything. Every year you got to redo the rent. They're going to keep taking it higher and higher. All your money is going down the drain. Now you're making less than it costs to really have a truly peaceful quality of life. You making less than $66 an hour because that's what they say it takes. The minimum wage, they keep it in that $7.25 federally for a reason, because they don't want you to have access to own and buy land and farms. They're not going to give you the grants to do these things. Land ownership, owning farms, owning your home, water rights, mineral rights, commercial buildings, our indigenous land, which was stolen from us. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have to do all of this. Food systems. When you own land, you own all of these things. That's why when the charters for Virginia and all these things were sent from the crown over here, they say, hey, if they're not Christian when you go over there, you own the land. That's why I don't think people realize. They use Christianity to control and colonize people and unalive people at massive rates. Okay? It's sad. It's poisonous what they did. But they said, hey, we're going to go over here. We're going to steal the land. We're going to colonize the land. And whatever you see, the water, the rights, the fish. They said they even own the fish in the charters. You just have to go to my page. Go to when I read the Virginia charter and how they said they owned the chattel. They were going to do trafficking. They wrote this down. And I think that's the biggest downfall of the psychopaths in history, because they wrote all the evil things down. And they thought that it was gonna eat forever, and it ain't eating how it used to eat back then. We looking at this like, y'all really crazy. Y'all must have been on some type of heavy drugs. Yeah, like you had to be on some type of heavy drugs because y'all think y'all are daddy and shit. You're not my dad. You're not my dad. I need y'all to literally stop the cap like you good.
Stop the cap.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap, guys. Stop the cap. Right? What about number 2? Ownership. We got land ownership. We got business ownership. This is dental offices, media companies, trucking. You can have a trucking company, a music record label, farms, clothing brands, apps, technology. Right now with the Lovable app, you can create apps. You don't need coding. You don't need it, all of that. You don't need all of that, right? You can can use these apps to do coding. You don't even need to reinvent the wheel, pay thousands of dollars. If you get on Lovable, it'll teach you how to do these things. Okay. Number 3, intellectual property. This part is very, very important for creators. Intellectual properties. What is this? This is your videos, podcasts, patents. Videos, podcasts, patents. These are things you can own. Every video you upload, every song you own, every book you publish, every ebook you publish becomes a digital asset. So not only are we thinking about owning land, not only are we thinking about owning businesses, but we're also thinking about owning our IP, intellectual properties. So if you're a creator, and hopefully if you're in this side to you directly, that's why it's so important. Why do you to you directly? That's why it's so important. Why do you think I stream now? Why am I sitting here investing into dentistry and doing all of these things and investing into intellectual properties? Because these are things that could potentially make money in my sleep. It can make money in your sleep. So don't be afraid to create something that you own. Don't spend your whole day working, paying rent, going to work, and never developing who you are as a person. Never developing your intellectual properties. Sitting down and say, you know what, I have experience in this. Let me create an ebook about this. Let me start a course because I can teach about this particular topic. We all have a gift or skill. Some of us just put our gifts and skills to sleep and we bury them. We put them in the ground. It's just like the funeral for your gift. You just did a funeral for your dreams. You just laid it to rest. Before you even passed away, you already buried your funeral. You already buried your gift. Right? Now, if you do content also becomes ownership. A lot of people in the content creation space, they do end up making lucrative amounts of money, but God, that takes consistency. That takes patience. It requires you to get better and better every day, and you have to deal with a lot, on the internet. But one live stream feed like me can feed your YouTube, your shorts, your TikTok, your ebooks, your clips. You can get so much from just investing in your IP. That's called digital land. So those are the 3 types of ownerships that we are mentioning today. Just break it down: land ownership, business ownership, and intellectual properties. All right. Now, let's talk about the war against ownership, because there is a war against ownership. Let's take it deeper, because people act like poverty happened so random. They act like it was no systems that were perpetuating this terrible time that we're in. But let's go to history. I'm going to talk about 10 historical facts and systems that keep us out of ownership lane. They keep us out of the territory where we can actually become owners. I'm not talking about the people who have legacy or the people who just got it like that. I'm talking about the people in the hood. There's a big difference. When you come from the hood, it's very different. If you from the hood, you know what I'm saying. You know how hard it is to get out of that, and you already know supremacy. You feel me? So the European monarchs were claiming lands already inhabited. When we read the charters for Virginia, all of the charters from the 13 colonies, these are European people who were claiming lands before they even came over here, and claiming the fish, claiming the mountains. They were claiming the lakes, the ocean. They were claiming everything. They said it's mine. And what was the justification they had for doing that? Christian supremacy ideology. That was their reason for doing it. They did land seizure justification using this Christian supremacy ideology. What is that? That means if you aren't a white Christian nationalist or a white male Christian, then you couldn't own the land according to them. It didn't matter what you thought. They were going to come and seize your land, take your land, basically rob you. It's basically global robbery. Right? There was the Intercaterra in 1493. This is something that Christopher Columbus used to come over here and just do heinous things to people. He just did, like, he's one person in history that he just makes my skin crawl. Just reading his journal, just psychopath, right? The Romanus Pontifex. This is another document that allowed them to come and take land that was already occupied. Colonizers declared ownership through pay. It's not working, but I was still not working. Dang, I hate that. I hate this when your connection keeps cutting off. What's going on? Anywho, number 2, mound builders erased from history. Many people have never heard of the Mississippian culture, the mound builders. This was the advanced cities, trade systems, engineering, astronomy, agriculture before colonizers got here. The mound builders are copper tone. If you don't know what copper tone is, my skin, copper tone. You see how black, the letters in these words are black, but copper tone. You see? So those are the Mississippian mound builders. They were in the southeast, and they were responsible for things like the Cahokia mounds, all the mound systems, copper trade, river systems. In school, they might mound civilizations right here that they don't want to talk about, because guess what? This opens up a can of worms. But just because they don't want to talk about it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it ourselves and teach our kids the true history. The problem is so many people have been brainwashed that they don't even want to open their ears to listen to the true history. And that's why we continue to go through periods and decades of life where we don't pass down ownership. We meant to vote. Okay? I gotta stay right here and be on the red or the blue side. I'm not gonna go read history, because whatever the colonizer says is right. This is just how some people are. Thank you for tapping those hearts. That's just how they are, right? What else? So they did land seizures through treaties. There was the Indian Removal Act. So the Indian Removal Act really took us off of the country land, our land where we were having farms and just growing the fruit and the vegetables that we needed, and just enjoying life and in the sun and grounding on the dirt and just having this like family life. They banned that. So people be like, well, what happened? They banned it and said you had to live in the projects. They took you off of the pyramids and the mounds and moved us to the projects, right? That's the Indian Removal Act. They had like, oh, it's some other people. No. It's the same people who you see in the southeast right now. The melanated copper tone people. It's us. We always been here. We still here, and we ain't going nowhere. But these colonizers came and they tricked us out of our spot. They made treaties. They said, hey, if you just give us some land, we're not gonna fight. And because we nice people, we don't have evil in our blood until they poison us with that. And they did forced displacement. They seized fertile lands. That's why you have so many plantations now in the southeast. These people weren't here. They seized these lands. They unalived the chief. They said, where's the cacique? Where is the gold? They will unalive the leader and then take the land and enslave the people on the land. Right? It was in a charter. Hey, you're going to go in a charter from Virginia. Was it 16? Don't let me get the date wrong, but it was in the 1600s. Right? They said you're going to go over there to those lands in America. And anybody who is not Christian, you're going to take their land and form a place for you to live. And you're going to create colonies and plantations. That was their order, to go and steal the land and create plantations. It's written down. If you want more research on where I get these documents from, go to, what is it called? It's Yale. The Avalon Project. They have every document from all of these time periods. So if you're looking for these documents that I'm talking about, go to Avalon, avalon.law.yale.edu. These are law documents. They got it because they know that, the American Indians ain't gonna read, the Niji ain't gonna. No, they said if you want to hide something from an NIGGA, you put it in a book, right? Well, I'm not an NIGGA. I'm actually Niji. I'm actually Mary Indian. I'm actually indigenous. So when you want to hide something from me, you can't. You can't. You just can't.
Gotcha, bitch.
You can't. Because you know what I mean? I'm going to be like,
That's suspicious. That's weird.
yeah, that's suspicious. When you hiding things from us and you think that you can write it on paper and we're not going to read, you really thought we was really slow. Okay? Talk about the people in history. Number 4, boarding schools and forced assimilation. So, colonizers forced Christianity on the indigenous people. But now you ask the indigenous people, hey, they the ones who just became a Christian. No. Colonizers forced Christianity on you because they knew that this would make you, weak. In a book called Despotism in America, where they talk about tricking the people who they stole the land from into thinking that they were African and then giving them Christianity, this is supposed to teach you how to be obedient so you will know to listen and not ask questions. They wrote this in the book. Despotism in America. Go look it up. You can download it as a PDF. Despotism in America. They did language suppression, cultural erasure. They banned the clothes that we used to wear. They banned it all. They banned you from looking at a white person in the eye. You could be unallowed, put in jail. They banned us from having books. They banned anything that was good. You see what I'm saying? But they did not ban Christianity. They actually gave you Christianity. So just think, guys. They wanted to kill the Indian and save the man so that you could be chattel and never question anything and never want to be an owner because, listen, I'm your master. I'm your supervisor. I'm your CEO. I tell you what to do, when to clock in, when to clock out, if you could take a vacation, when you're going to see your kids, and if you don't show up, you're fired, right? And back then, it was a law where you had to have a job. You had to be a laborer because they changed the laws because we fought so hard, the Seminole Wars, etc. We fought so hard, they said, you know what, we're not gonna do slavery because they invented money. They invented the greenbacks, and once they had the greenbacks, they said, you know what, we can use this to keep them enslaved. That's why the federal minimum wage is only $7.25. This is a new form of slavery, guys. The money ain't even worth it. It's just like back then they were paying them 10 cents a week and stuff like that. It's just different now. The dollar amount is higher, but the cost of living is even higher than that. So the math, it just don't math. It's just not mathing. And you'll be like, wait, that's not true, Dr. Shon.
That is not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, my friends. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's true. And you going to work and you struggling to live. Meanwhile, they at home.
Rich.
They saying we're rich. We got them. We got them by the balls. Right? So never think the colonizer going to give you some good religion. What they giving you is oppression. They teach you how to be obedient, so you never question the system. And anytime you're going through a struggle, anytime you got to make a sacrifice, anytime you stress the hell out, you're going to say, oh, well, I got this religion they gave me. I'm going to lean and depend on this. Right? I'm going to lean and depend on this because they told me my skin bad. I'm going to believe that, and I'm going to tell my kids that, we were slaves. And no, they want you to believe you started as a slave, that your whole history started there. No, man, when you do your genealogy, you're going to see that your ancestors was here before all of these laws. Your ancestors is older than, they got documents where they was here not as slaves. You're going to have documents where they were here and their documents from the census is older than the government. You're gonna be like, well, damn, I got all these ancestors, none of them from Africa, none of them. Y'all lie. They're all farmers. That's because they had the land. This was their dang on land. Why would you need to do a census and figure out who people are if you brought them over here? How they got out of the chains you said they was in, and how they got on the land, and now they on the land, and how? It doesn't make no sense. So we gotta just be smarter than what people tell you. Whenever somebody tell you something, you have to use discernment, guys. I mean, especially when it's coming from a history standpoint. That's why they ban teaching melanated history in school, and they only want you to learn YT history, because if I teach you about yourself, if I teach you the truth about yourself, then you feel like you're going to be an owner of the land. But if I teach you that I brought you here and I own you, then you're going to think that I own you, right? So you're going to want to go to work and feel like I'm your supervisor and just fall in the line. They don't want you to get out of line. So discernment, what does that mean? You have to practice discernment with everything nowadays. Even with what I'm telling you, you practice discernment with it. Go look it up. That's why I give you the resources so you can read for yourself. Don't believe me, because I'm the type of person, when I was getting out of the matrix and coming into this newfound knowledge, and I was hearing that we was indigenous, I didn't believe it. I was just like a lot of people, like, what? It just sounded like, what? Your brain just go like, your brain like, what are you talking about? That's how my brain was. My brain was like, this can't be true. I don't know what you're talking about. That's how I felt.
Are you sure?
It's like, are you sure that I'm indigenous? It's like, but I thought that they said, and that's where you messed up. When you let the enemy tell you who you are. That's the first place you messed up, when you said, but they told me, but I learned in school, but the colonizers said. That's when you mess up in the first place. That's where you mess up in the first place. But you gotta know, when you break through the barriers, you'll know that you just built different.
I'm built different.
I'm built different. I'm gonna practice discernment with everything. So when I got this new information, because I had a chief telling me repeatedly, and I was just so lucky to have this in my ear repeatedly, until I said, you know what, let me go look this up, because you really heavy on this, like. And then when I did my genealogy, the floodgates open. I said, you got to be kidding me. The whole time I'm trying to connect to Africa, because the colonizers told me I was from there, when my whole ancestry is on paper here. Dang. My chat keep dying. Why is that happening? That is so crazy. I hate when the internet mess up. It looks like a cloudy day though. But anywho, you have to practice discernment, guys. Thank you for tapping the hearts. I really appreciate it. So what is discernment? This is the ability to judge well. That's what discernment means. Shocked as hell when I was reading the Christopher Columbus journal and doing my genealogy, like, what? Everything this chief was telling me is true? I'm from this land? What? Do you know how, like, first you're mad, second you're heartbroken because you can't believe you fell for the shit, and third you're like, now I have to relearn everything. I have to relearn everything, get back into the right communities, connect to people who actually get it, because there's not a lot of us out here who get it and understand what the hell happened and why there's a hidden war against ownership. I got to get back connected is what you think, right? So that's why you have to practice discernment with everything that is presented to you. I don't care if I present it to you. Go to the avalonproject.yale.law and research all these documents. Go read the charters that form these different colonies. They're there. You just got to go and read it. You can't just be like, well, I don't believe you. Go read it for yourself. And if you don't want to read it, guess what you're defined as? A chattel. Because you're going to wait for somebody to tell you who you are, and you're going to believe them. You believe everything the colonizers set up for you. You just going to go work and just never have any type of ownership. You don't even have to have everything. You know, you don't got to have the land, the business, the IP. You need to own something, though. You can't just go through your whole life working like chattel and never investing it into something that you own, even if it's just your knowledge, even if it's a new skill, even if it's just like creating an ebook. I don't know, maybe you are a painter and you know about painting real well. Hey, you could create an ebook for some other young person out there who wants to do this or don't even know that this is an opportunity. Or maybe somebody just want to paint their house. You know, you could be making money off of your skill, but society would tell you that it's not valuable because you're not the master. Don't let them trick you out of your spot. Please don't let them trick you out of your spot. So what's the next thing that lets us know that we are at a war, but that there is a war against ownership? What else? The next thing is enslavement and chattel status. So they talk about this, you know, enslavement of our people, especially through the laws. They actually did enslavement on this land. They would take you from this colony to that colony and say you was from Africa. They did shit like that. People treated as assets. They were Bank of America, what is this? Aetna. These type of people and companies put insurance on our bodies. They bought and sold us. They took out mortgages and loans on people. Crazy, right? They put us in auctions. Now, you would be like, dang, how did they do that? Listen, they were KID napping, using the slave patrol and the slave raiders, and they would traffic people under the government, under the Christian laws that they had. Because if you weren't a Christian, they said, this is okay for me to traffic you because you don't understand and I'm actually helping you. They said if you didn't want to be a slave, this is called drapetomania, where you got some type of psychological condition. Now, if you believe this shit, you don't practice discernment at all. Somewhat is because I'm like, what's the next step? What do we do about this? That's why ownership is so important. We have to do something. You can't just keep feeding kids to the system, feeding them into the system to be trafficked, to be workers, to be chattel, to go and work for minimum wage and be okay with that, to never think that they can build something, be something, have legacy. We're not passing down legacy, we pass it down struggle. I know I was passed down struggle. I was passed down nothing. I was passed down, and I had ancestors who work hard, but is that for me? It doesn't get passed down how it's supposed to get passed down. It gets like passed down to this person, and this person got control, and now you got to work hard for what your ancestors already worked hard for, because people don't get it. They caught up in the matrix. They feel like this is mine, this is mine. They don't get the tribe. They don't get the family. They don't get the unity. We missing unity for real. When you don't have unity, automatically you really become enslaved to the system. Because in this system, if you don't have unity, oh, they're going to eat you alive, because that's how they have this system. Because they have unity for evil. They say, hey, we all going to be evil, and we're going to do it together. But my people say, you know what, we all going to suffer, and we're going to suffer apart. Instead of saying, you know what, we're not going to suffer, we're going to get together, invest, and get some ownership, and fight that way. We say, you know, we're going to fight by turning red or blue. We're going to fight by being a Christian. Come on, guys. Just judging from the past, how has this helped us escape enslavement, escape the chattel status, escape all the things that are sent to oppress us? And how is this going to help us fight the hidden war against ownership? How? Imagine being legally classified as property while building wealth for other people. That's what enslavement did. It made you legally classified as their property. It didn't matter you was a free person. Just because of the color of your skin, you legally belong to the government. And then you still to this day building wealth for others. You're basically their employee, right? Think about it. Black codes, Jim Crow. A lot of these Jim Crow laws are coming back around now, especially when they realize, oh, well, we could keep recreating the map. We don't have to give them the right to vote. They so dumb. We just draw a line here, draw a line there. Now our votes matter, theirs don't. They're still doing this shit right now. They're still doing this, and people were like, we just got to keep riding with this government. The government is poisonous, guys. It's straight poisonous. It's poisonous to the system when it's not equality. It's not true equality. It's like, We're going to pretend like we're going to be equal, but we're really not. We're really just evil. We really don't care about you. The Jim Crow laws are still in effect. There are literacy barriers in underserved communities. They don't have the same resources, the same opportunities, the same investments into the students. There are labor restrictions, voter suppression, which is going on right now, segregation, intimidation, criminalization. We don't even want to get into the justice system and the slave raiders turned slave patrols, turned highway patrols, police brutality, all of these different things is more rampant today than you would ever know. It's only because we have cameras, sometimes they leave on the body cam, that we get to see the truth behind the scenes. I will never forget Robert Brooks. That's one case that will always stick with me when I'm like, this is what they've been doing. It just breaks your heart when you see someone helpless, handcuffed, and you see people just attacking them with such evil, like they in the jungle like some wild freaking animals. And they think that this is okay. Then they leave out of there and they go into the grave. They're just not on camera. Right now, it's a police officer somewhere in this country, harassing a melanated man, planning something on him that he didn't do, saying he was disturbing the peace. You know, they could put any of these codes. Then they're gonna take it to court with their judge friends. You're gonna try to plead your case, but they all in cahoots together because they getting money on the back end from this. Now you finna have to pay probation and all of this stuff to the court. Listen, it's all a system, and it's very unfair. It's very sad. It's not all officers, of course, but I'm talking about a system. 1 officer, 2 officers, 20 officers, 100 officers cannot change the system. So ownership barriers remain even after slavery. It remained. After slavery, they said that our people could only have jobs as cooks, CNAs. What else? It was cooks, CNAs, housekeepers, nannies. Ringing a bell? They said you can't have jobs where you're reading and learning. Like, what? This is evil. It's evil in my book. What else? The Tulsa Race Massacre. This is only one of many massacres where our communities constantly built wealth and astronomical values. We had our own everything. We didn't really need no help at all. We was from this land. We developed everything on this land. We created everything on this land. Even y'all president with the orange hair, what's his name? I don't even want to say his name. You know who I'm talking about. He'll tell y'all we invented everything. He tried to say, well, Americans. No, my people did, and now you're trying to just tag along. Let's just stop. So the Tulsa Race Massacre. They had the Greenwood District. They had banks. They had doctors. They had dentists. They had all of that. This was in 1921, and it was a devastating event when a white mob attacked the prosperous Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This resulted in widespread destruction and a loss of life, and the government sanctioned it. This district was often called Black Wall Street. They were able to circulate money in their community for hundreds of days, and that record still has not been broken. When you got the surrounding communities around them, the white communities, and they're like, dang, they're not spending with us. They're keeping all their money in house. We never spent money outside of our community. We kept it all in house. This brings about jealousy. So they destroyed it. They destroyed it. It became one of the most prosperous melanated communities in the United States. They had entrepreneurship, self-sufficiency, ownership. But guess what? The massacre was triggered when, they lied. I just talked about police lying. They would lie until they lie. And then years later, these people get off, I lied. But this person's life is taken. The whole community is destroyed from a lie. You feel what I'm saying? So there was a young black man, melanated man, I don't even like to use that word, named Dick Rowland. He was accused of assaulting a white woman named Sarah Page in an elevator. Come on now. And this lie spread, and they came and they destroyed an entire community. Fire. Dropped bombs. And they never were held accountable for it. My stream is dropping like crazy, guys. It's dropping like crazy. Okay. We had our own lawyers, hotels, airplanes, theaters, pharmacies, painters, construction workers, builders, realtors, whatever you want to say. We had it all in our own community. And this community was going to lead to other communities. And there were other communities. And they just said, you know what? If that's not a white male Christian community, we got to bomb it because they doing better than us. They creating every damn thing. We can't have that. They're not a white Christian. We got to attack, They killed hundreds of people, destroyed businesses, erased wealth in an instant, and they also denied all the insurance claims, okay? Now, it's crazy how they not denying the insurance claims when people were trying to claim people. Like, if they owned you, you were enslaved on their property because they had KID napped you and trafficked you, and you passed away, Aetna would pay them. But when these people actually lost their businesses and filed legit insurance claims, they were denied. Okay? So what it means is when communities build wealth and those communities look like me, they often become targets. They often get destroyed. Other prosperous communities that were destroyed in this fashion is Seneca Village in New York City, Rosewood, Florida, my neck of the woods, and the Wilmington coup of 1898. Right? What else? Redlining. This is when banks are refusing to give mortgages to people who look like me and residents in areas that look like me, because now you done took everything that we worked hard for that we had already, and now you stole it and you won't even give me the money to invest, even though I'm a worker, just like other people. They're forcing density into cities, trapping generations in rent cycles. Now, that's a big one right now, and I think people are finally realizing the trap, because they took the rent so damn high, and people were like, wait a minute, I was okay with being stuck in this rent cycle when it was $800, because I could still live my little life, save for a vacation, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like they want you to just pay rent and have no fun. They want you to pay $2,000-$3,000 and you don't have a life. That's trapping generations in rent cycles. When all the kids go out and get rent, your brother, your sister got rent, then, everybody's so separate, paying all of this money, millions of dollars to rent every year, and nobody's actually clicking and saying, you know what? They're trapping us. We got to do something different. We got to invest and get a piece of land, guys. We got to, and like I said, even when the generations before us do have the land, the people who have the land now, they don't know how to make it better for the whole tribe. They just look at it as, I don't know, I can't really describe it, but I know what I'm saying. But it's just like, now we got to go, the new generations have to go back and work hard and pay more rent. We already got land that our ancestors invested in. Why are we doing the same rat race all over again? That's getting caught in the rent cycle or the mortgage cycle, or just having some type of bill above your head where you can't ever live your life fully. You don't have assets, you got a lot of liabilities, and that's what we have to stop right now. While some families inherit homes, some families inherit land, some families inherit rent receipts. Some people inherit the rent receipts. They inherit the drama. They don't have the life insurance, and it's just sad that we're in a day and age where it's just not normal. If you do have these things, you're a rarity. Most people can't afford these things. Okay? Gerrymandering. This is what's going on right now. They don't want you to own anything because they want to be able to vote you out of existence. So gerrymandering. This is map manipulation, and you see this all over the news now with the map manipulation, canceling the votes. diluting the community's political fragmentation. Okay, so they doing this right now. And what exactly is gerrymandering? Where did this word come from? It is the deliberate manipulation of electoral district boundaries to secure political advantage. It was named after the Massachusetts governor, Elbridge Gerry, right, who approved a distorted district democratic fairness and representation in the United States. This practice has evolved from crude map making to sophisticated data-driven strategies to erase your vote. So you going to vote, they trying to erase it completely where it doesn't count. So gerrymander. So Governor Elbridge Gerry, his name was Gerry, and the district that he shaped was shaped like a salamander. So they made the name gerrymandering. When you trying to hack the maps to favor a particular political party, it used to be illegal, but now they erased that. You know, they just like reversing everything. They trying their hardest to prevent us from waking up, to silence us, to make us feel like the system is still working for us, when I know that the system has failed us. From its inception, it has failed us. Totally. It has failed our kids. You know, it's no good for us. What else? Modern ownership traps. Today, we have modern ownership traps now. These are the modern ownership traps that prevent you from being an owner. Endless car notes. Luxury debt. Thinking that you're finna give all your money to Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Burberry, all of these European, probably white Catholic people. Right? Luxury debt. Student loans. Consumerism. You know, TikTok has a consumerism environment. I have to stay off of TikTok shop because I'm like, I'm not finna keep buying all this stuff. I just can't. Let me just stop. No, I'm not falling for consumerism. It's a cute outfit, but do I need it? No. Do I need it? No. There's some cute shoes, Akira. Y'all know Akira is my store, but I have to stay off of there because guess what? This is consumerism. This is going to make me fall into the modern trap where I have less ownership and more stuff. These shoes and outfits are not an asset unless you bought it with your business card and you're using it for business purposes only, or you can write it off. See, it go real deep. But if you're just buying it to look good for the gram, look good for TikTok, look good for social media, psychological, guys. And I think my stream is tripping. That never worked, so let's get out of that. Okay. So now let's talk about the modern hood trap. Because the hood is not just a place, it's often a conditioning system. So I'm going to pull up that slide. The modern hood trap. Where am I? Nope. The modern hood trap. You see we got liabilities and you see we got assets. Okay? Liabilities keep you broke. Assets build your freedom. Let me catch y'all up over here on YouTube. Today's trap. You see everybody, I'm in the trap. You know, trap music, trap. That's not really what this is, but you feel me. So, liabilities versus assets. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Okay? This is going to keep you broke. Examples of liabilities are to my left. This is that expensive car note, unnecessary debt, high interest purchases, and unused subscriptions. If you don't do anything or get anything from this live, it's nemesis. I'm only on episode 1. But Netflix, y'all going from $19 to now $21. I'll be paying attention. Y'all about to get canceled. Y'all literally about to get canceled, bro. Literally. about to get canceled. So which one of these liabilities do you have where you like, you know what, that's something I don't really need. I could really just like cancel this subscription. I don't really need 20 subscriptions. Pick and choose, cut back. Just cut back, because everything it's a subscriber culture now, and I absolutely hate it. Can we bring back a time when you just paid for something once and it's yours, you own it? Now it's like you never own anything, and I hate that. They learn how to turn everything into constant debt every month. So, you feel what I'm saying? And they're gonna be like,
Got him!
they got you. They got you, right? Assets. This puts money into your pocket. This is businesses. If you are successful with your business, of course. This is going to be real estate, your YouTube channel, ebooks catalog, investments, your rental properties, your music royalties, your Turo company, you know, your digital products, your physical products, your whatever. These are assets because they're putting money into your pocket. Skills can be assets. Dentistry, I went to school for a long time and it was very expensive to do that, but now I have a lifelong skill that is going to be an asset. You feel me? So even your skills, when you invest in yourself, these become things that can help you in the long run. Okay? So poor people buy symbols. Remember this. Poor people buy symbols. They buy Louis, they buy Gucci, they buy Coach, they buy Fendi, they buy Burberry, they buy Balenciaga, all of these different names. They buy Chanel. Not all. Rich people buy these things too. Wealthy people buy these things too. But a lot of times people in the hood, they will invest in these symbols to look wealthy. Owners buy systems. You see the difference? Poor people buy symbols. Owners buy systems that help them increase their cash flow and put money into their pocket. So here's what students need to know. If you're a student and you don't want to be caught in a trap and you want to make it out and you don't want to be left broke with liabilities and you want assets, this is the part that matters. Number one, learn high income skills. Whatever you like, learn a high income skill. Okay? If you don't have a high income skill and you're looking for high income, it's never going to work. Unless you just have a gift where you can sing or rap, or you just talented like that and you a model, or you get what I'm saying? You like a one-on-one, but if you know that, dang, I really want to make it out of the matrix, I don't want to be stuck paying liabilities, then you got to get you a high income skill, such as editing, sales. Sales is always going to be up there. Marketing. Of course, AI is taking over a lot of these jobs, but if you learn how to use AI, that's another skill. I love AI. Even though AI has its good and its bad with the data centers, etc. But right now, I don't want to be one of them people who said, I'm not going to use it, because the people who use it will lead the people who don't use it. Content creation. Coding. AKA lovable. Dentistry. Real estate. All of these different things are high income skills that you can have. Now, real estate is surprising. I'm not sure why most people don't do real estate, because it's 75 hours or is it 65 hours. It depends on your state. You can get your real estate license, take the test. It's not that much dedication to entering the real estate world. So that's one of the things where I feel like most people should get in now before they raise the requirements. Get into real estate so you can see the properties on the MLS. You can learn about auctions and start a legacy for your family, right? Number two thing that students need to know is to avoid high interest debt. Debt steals future freedom. So if something is a high interest debt, you must eliminate it, okay? Don't go get high interest credit cards. Stay away from that. Don't go to anything where you have to like payday loans and what other places? Car places. When I was younger, listen, my family, certain people in my family stayed in like payday loan places, and what are the places called when you do your car? I forgot the name of the place. When you get a loan on your car, like title loan places. Avoid those places at all costs. Avoid them. Even in college, this is why things become generational curses. In college, when I was at Florida State University, I used to go to the cash advance place when things got tight, and that's just like being on the hamster wheel even more. And I remember just being caught up in the cash advance place for like a whole year, and I had to break myself out of it because I'm like, this is not cool. I don't want to keep giving y'all my money. So I paid my last payment, and then I didn't do it ever again. But at the time, I had no choice. I seen my elders do this when things fell short back then. So when I got to college and things fell short, I'm thinking, so this is why people pass down generational curses versus generational wealth. They didn't pass down something where I could go to college and not worry about money. No, I had to go to college, work a couple jobs, tie that with the payday loan place, piece this together, piece that together, just to get here. So when you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. Just to get here, I had to do that back then. But that's not good. So if you're a student and you have to do things like that, just try your best not to, because it's going to hurt you in the long run. And I paid so much money into systems like that during that time period, but I didn't know any better. I'm just like this 21-year-old thinking that this is the way that we get help, not, building credit and investing in real estate and investing in assets. I wasn't taught that growing up. I seen my grandma write a check. Back then they had the paper checks. We didn't have anything to eat. She would write a check, let the check bounce. We got the food. You worry about it later. You feel me? This is from hood to hooded. When you go through things like that, when you just don't have enough. And I can't imagine now, because things is way higher now, but the income hasn't changed. So it's even worse now. There's so many people suffering in silence now, because it's like, dang, I can't figure a way out. The way out is ownership, owning something. You have to find a way to find you a piece of ownership, however you can, okay? And avoid debt. Number 3, build cash flow fast. So before you go flexing, make sure you have an emergency fund. Make sure you have $1,000 just in case something pop off. You can go tap into your emergency fund. So when you're thinking about eating out, when you can cook at home, remember we got it at home. When you think about taking that vacation but you don't have that emergency fund, say, you know what, I'd rather put this in my emergency fund, invest this into a high yield savings account, or some stocks or something. Well, you don't want to invest your emergency fund in the stocks because you can't get it so fast, but you get what I'm saying? You want to have some savings so you're not just broke. Don't pay other people before you pay yourself. And right now we're in a society where they teach us to pay all the bills, pay all the other people before you take care of yourself. And before you know it, you 20 years in, you have paid all these other people, but you haven't paid yourself. You haven't put anything aside to yourself. So whatever you have to do, whatever subscriptions you got to cut off, however you have to just sacrifice, because that's the word, you have to sacrifice in order to invest in your emergency fund, in order to invest in your dream. You will have to sacrifice some time. You will have to sacrifice some money. You might even have to sacrifice your comfort a lot of the times. You will have to sacrifice your comfort just to make your future comfortable. You can build cash flow by having a side income. If you got to work hard and you can't let it go at nighttime, you got to work on your side hustle. You got one income, that's not enough. The payday loan, that's not an income. That's a liability. Your side income, you need that. So if you don't have a side income and you're trying to figure it out, get on YouTube, guys. I know it's easier said than done because everybody's saying get on YouTube. But for me, the way I see it, YouTube is like compounding your videos. So one video you made 5 years ago could blow up today. You feel me? Or if you made a song and you could sing and your song might blow up today. You got people who have songs from the 70s and the 80s and they're on TikTok now and people blowing them up today. So you always want to have those royalties. Make that ebook. Do something. Don't just sit here and just let them take you out like, you know what, I'm done. I'm cooked. I'm steak. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that, because if you don't do it now, you will never do it.
Time is money, friend. What's up? Yo, talk to me.
Time is money, friend. Time is money. Okay? So don't waste your time. Do it while you're healthy. Do it while you have all your marbles. Don't wait until the end, because I'm going to tell y'all something. Ain't nobody coming to save us. Okay? Ain't nobody coming to save us. They just not. So when you see,
I'm not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
wait a minute, y'all. What else? So the next thing where we need to focus on financial literacy would be to monetize your knowledge. I talk a lot about this. Thank you for following and liking the live, guys. Monetizing your knowledge. So ebooks, guides, templates, memberships, courses, consulting, all that. Monetize your knowledge. Whatever your knowledge is, monetize it. I can monetize dentistry. A lot of times I do monetize dentistry, of course, but I have other knowledge that I like to monetize. Just talking about history, just talking about financial literacy, learning about it, teaching about it, going through it, sharing my struggles, sharing my fuck ups. Just like, you know what, guys, we all mess up sometimes. This is life. Life is about the experience. Don't let one bad experience, one bad financial decision determine your whole life, where you're like, well, I'm a worker now, I'm just gonna work forever. No, you're an asset owner, you're a creator, you're a builder. Don't get caught up in that one title, well, I work here and this is my life. No. What is your side hustle? What are you doing to create legacy so you can leave for your kids? What are you doing, or are you just going to work because that don't need to be the recipe no more? Right? And number 5 to the young people out there is to start early. Before you know it, you're going to be like, I got all the time in the world. I'm 18, I'm 19. Before you know it, you're 29. And then you're 49. And you're like, well, damn, what did I do with all my time? Wasted it. You didn't invest in nothing. You was an employee. You had a master. You was a chattel. So all the money that you worked for went to somebody else. You was a renter for 40 years. Now let's do some math, because I don't like trigonometry math, but when it comes to just like calculating the stupidity of it all, let's just do some math, right? Somebody is 49 years old. They don't own a home. They still working. They don't have nothing to show for it, but they've been on their own because they thought they was grown since they was 18, right? So 49 minus 18. They've been paying rent for 31 years. And let's just say their rent isn't even $2,000. Let's just be realistic. We're going to say their rent is $700. We ain't gonna do too much. So 31 years, that's 12 months in 31 years. So 31 times 12 months, that's 372 months that you paid rent, right? So 372 times, we just gonna say $700. You have given away, what the hell, $2.6 million. But here you are thinking, I ain't no millionaire. Yeah, you were. You were. You gave all your millions away to somebody else who had property, real estate. You never said, you know what, I'm about to save all my money. This is what I'm talking to the youth. Start early. I'm about to save my money, stay with my mama, stay with somebody, stack this up, invest into me a real estate property, get my credit together so I don't have to use all my money. You don't have to be broke. So that way when you get to be 40, you will have this $2.6 million in your bank account from them 30 years of renting. You will have this 2.6. But right now you gave away because I got caught in the rat race. Okay? So don't get caught in the trap. Don't get caught up in the trap, guys. So, how do you take full ownership of your life? And I know that my internet is dropping bad right now. So when I end this, I might have to come back and teach this again. I don't know. Because it's dropping. It keep dropping. Anywho, well, it's good for me to go through this information one time. If I got to do it again, I got to do it again. So this section is the deepest section that we will talk about this whole entire line. Ownership. What type of ownership should you have? Because we already talked about, land, business, and IP, intellectual properties. But what about the deeper levels of ownership? Because when you don't even own your land, your home, you don't own anything in life, you don't own your car, you're always going to be stuck feeling like, I have to work, I got to clock in. And you shouldn't feel like that. You should be like, dang, I'm making money in my sleep. That's the energy we want. We want the money in our sleep type of energy. Don't overthink it. So, mental ownership. If you cannot control your mind, someone else will. So do you own your mind right now, or does someone else own your mind? They tell you what to do, how to do it, where to do it, what they controlling you. So first things first, mental ownership. What does this mean? This means you're disciplined because you're not allowing anybody to get you distracted. This means that you pay attention to where your attention goes. You pay attention to where your attention goes. You pay attention to where you're focusing your energy. What about emotional control? When you own your mental space, you control your emotions. You're not like thrown off if you have a bad day. You're not like giving up on everything just because this job is terrible and you made a bad decision. You're not just staying at the job you hate. You're like, you know what? This is impacting my peace and happiness. I gotta bounce. Life is too short. My life is too precious. Get me out of here ASAP.
Nothing beats a jet
Get
to
me out of
holiday.
here. Get me
And
out
right
of here.
now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4.
Let's go on a vacation because you about to stress me out, right? When you own your mental space, this means you control your routine. You decide what you do during the day. And you control your focus, okay? If you don't control your mind, remember someone else will. Energy ownership. Are you controlling your energy? Do you own your energy? Are you protecting your sleep, your peace, your environment, your relationships, your health? Are you? Because if you're just leading a life exhausted, giving $2.6 million away for 30 years, that's not life. Exhaustion is going to destroy your dreams. So if you're young and you exhausted from working, you got to pivot right now. Don't stay there for 10 years. Pivot right now. Go get that high skill that you've been avoiding. Go start that side hustle that you've been slacking on, that you said you was going to do 5 years ago. And now you still stuck in the rat race. Exhausted. So don't let exhaustion cause you to abandon your vision and your dreams. Fight the exhaustion with everything in you. And when I tell you that you can do it, coming from dental school where we are exhausted 100% of the time, where you have to you gotta just figure it out. You gotta stay up and study. You have to go harder and harder and harder. When you think you can't go harder, you go even harder. That's something that dental school taught me, that if I would have never had that experience, I would have been stuck in a place where I thought my brain couldn't go this hard. But when I got there, I'm like, dang, I didn't know my brain could do this. You don't know what your brain can do until you push it to the limit. But if you're comfortable and you're going to work and someone else owns your time, they own your life, they own your energy, they control your sleep and all these things, you're never going to push yourself to the point where you can see your vision coming to life, because you just say, you know what, I know I can go a little bit harder. I'm not saying like hustle without a vision. I'm saying if you have a vision and you know it's going to take a little bit of extra work, it causes you to push past certain limits you thought you had, then do it. That's all I'm saying. Because you can use more of your brain than you know. We only use a small percent of our brain because it's comfortable using that percentage. We don't want to use more, because if you use more and you wake your brain up more, it's going to require you to take it to a new level that you've never been before. And that can get scary. And your brain automatically protects you by like saying, hey, you're going to a new territory. I don't know if it's safe, but you got to train your brain to say, hey, brain, you capable. I know you capable. This is something new, but you're capable of doing this. Let's go. Okay? You control your mental space. Time ownership. Now, this is a big one. Most people don't own their time. That's why they feel trapped. A lot of people their time is owned by their job or just a lot of different things. So when you don't own your time, that can be extremely draining. And the last thing is consistency. This is most important. Something that I still struggle with right now. I've been on this consistency challenge for a whole year and I still haven't been consistent every day. I'll admit it, it's hard as hell to be consistent unless you really want it. So in my head, if I'm not being as consistent as I could be, maybe I'm not ready yet. Maybe I'm not like up to the task yet. Maybe I have a lot more to learn and I need to fall down a couple more times until I realize, you know what, if I don't be consistent, this is never going to work. There's no way around it. Like I tried this way, that way, but if I'm not consistent, everything that's in my future isn't going to work. I have to practice consistency at an all-time level, like at a high level. Consistency is what transforms information into transformation. Let's repeat that. Consistency is what transforms information that you're getting, even from this live, into transformation. Because you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to be consistent and work on myself every single day. And over time, you'll see, dang, you transform into a whole new person. Now this idea that you have from this information that you gathered, it has transformed and it's taken on a whole life of its own because you were consistent. Many times you can be talented as hell, gifted as hell, you can be smart as hell, you can have all the skills in the world, you can have it all together, but if you are not consistent, that is the missing puzzle. For me, it's the missing link. I'm intelligent, I'm a doctor, I want to do things outside of just dentistry, but if I don't do these things with consistency, I'm going to always do it half-ass, and I will fail at whatever I'm trying every time. And I know this. This is why I even want to do a consistency challenge, because I know it is the missing link for a lot of us, because we cannot be consistent with working out, with a lot of different things. It's hard. It's rare that someone is consistent. So if you're a consistent person, you're rare. Many people are not consistent. They don't do things daily. They don't practice their affirmations daily. They're not investing in their skills daily. They're not showing up for themselves daily. They clocking out from showing up for themselves to show up for other people every single day. So magic happens when consistency meets time. So if you spending your time being consistent, this is magic, guys. This is what you really need. The hood taught so many of us to survive. It taught us how to hustle through the pain, work through the hurt, piece things together, live paycheck to paycheck. It didn't teach us systems, okay? So consistency will get you closer to those systems when you have focus. Now, just touching on like personal development, one person who really helped me with my personal development, Brian Tracy. That's a name most people probably don't know, but it's just the most random thing. When I ended dental school, I was looking to develop personally, because I have all of this dental knowledge. Now I need to develop, my interpersonal skills, right? Because you don't just wake up having this. And if you don't have parents in the household, it's hard to develop these skills that parents are supposed to embed in you. So listening to him on YouTube, and you can find Brian Tracy on YouTube, but He teaches about writing your goals down daily because only 3% of successful people have clear written goals. Only 3%. It's kind of like the stats for a doctor. Only 1 or 2% of us are melanated dentists or doctors, right? Some cases only 1%. The rest are YTs or white people. But he says, write your goals down daily. If you want to be someone who is exceptional, you have to write your goals down. Because only 3% of us are going to do it. So I know most people who listening to this is like, I'm not doing that. But if you do that, you're different. You're rare. When you wake up with intention, master your focus, eliminate distractions, and protect your momentum. So when you want a momentum and you have that energy and that motivation to keep going down the path that you're on and it feels good, it brings you peace and happiness, don't get distracted. Eliminate all distractions and keep your focus and your vision forward. Okay? When I became a doctor 10 years ago, I realized I didn't own enough of my life. Right? So high income is not the same as freedom. So people can wear scrubs and still be drowning financially. And that realization can hit you. So overhead, stress, burnout, rebuilding, having a simple life, having that ownership mindset, it all ties together. But just know that money, high income doesn't equal freedom. It's all about your financial literacy. It's all about what you own, your assets, not the liabilities. Eliminate the liabilities as much as you can and invest into more assets. Okay? So you want to educate yourself, develop high value skills, build assets and high income streams, invest, multiply, and leave a legacy. That is the plan, to leave a legacy for the next generation. So what must this new generation do? This is an ode to the new generation. And even to my generation or even later generations, but especially for the new generation. What should you do? I need for you to own the platform. Right now, a lot of us are on platforms that are not owned by us. Own the platforms, right? Own the land. Own your skills. Own your business, if that's the path you choose to take. Disclaimer. Own your media. Own it. And own the narrative. Don't get caught up into a life where you just go with the flow. You're not owning the narrative. This is when you say like, oh, I just work here. Where you work at? I just work here. You didn't plan to work there. It wasn't your vision to work there, but you just worked there. This is how you know you don't own your narrative. When you own your narrative, you'll be like, I work here, but on the side, I'm building this. Or this is my vision and nothing is going to get in the way. Or every day I'm waking up, I'm being consistent until I see myself transform into this person. Or I'm applying for this new gig because I really wanted the old gig is not paying me enough. They've been playing in my face for 5 or 10 years. Or I'm not renting for 30 years. You got me towed up. Let me fix my credit and buy me some land and some real estate. Let me become the landlord. That's what the new generation must do. So these people mastered surviving. Now it's time for us to master ownership. Period. We're going from paycheck to property. We are stop renting our entire existence. Because what the hell is a cost of living? Living is free. It's free for me to breathe this air on the earth. The trees produce air. There's oxygen all over. The trees are supposed to provide the fruit, but they put the fruit in the grocery store. But we have to stop renting our existence, plant our own gardens, own our land, invest in the community, spend your money in your community. Don't die with talent. Build the systems to exploit your talent. Don't just die with it. Don't be like, well, I was talented, but that was in the past. No, don't let your talent die. Don't bury your dreams. Plant your dreams. Water your dreams so that one day your dreams can take care of you. But if you don't take care of them, you already know how it goes. You already know that if you don't take care of your goals, it's not good. So in the hood, we go from hood to hood because guess what? The hood produces warriors. And now we become the architects of our life, right? And our mind is the first land that we must reclaim. So reclaim your mind today. Reclaim your thinking today. That's the first land that you got to be like, you know what? I own my mind. Turn your attention into assets. Okay? And consistency, you guys, that's really the new asset. That's really the new inheritance. If you can inherit consistency in everything you do, in every stream if you're a streamer, if you can inherit consistency in every book you put out, every clip, every skill, every investment, that's a new brick in the foundation for your freedom. What's going on, Dr. A's? Okay? So in closing, maybe they never taught us ownership because ownership creates independence. That's why they never taught us ownership. Facts. Well said. Hey. Independent people ask questions. Independent people build. Independent people stop begging the system for permission. That's why they don't teach you ownership, because then you will have independence. Okay? But here is the beautiful part of it all, family. We can still learn. We can still build. We can still become the first owners in our bloodline. That's what it means to go from hood to hood. When you become the owner in your bloodline, whether that's the owner of your mind, your time, the land, all of that. You go from surviving to ownership. Welcome to the fan club, HD McFly. So, as we carry on the rest of our life, especially to my young people out there, honor of the mind is the most important. Facts. Because once you own your mind, nobody can trick you. Nobody can make you believe something that's not true. Nobody can plan a vision for your life that you don't have in your mind. You'll be like, your vision is not my vision for my life. I know people, when I was a teenager, they thought that I would be a teenage mother. Not existing. Facts. Right? So we have to protect our peace, protect our mind, protect our energy, and build something that outlives us. That's the whole purpose of the Hood2Hooded Podcast. And it should be the whole purpose of, our existence, is to leave behind a legacy that still lives past us. But if you working and renting, falling for every trap, staying stuck in the matrix, the only thing that you're going to pass down is survival. People love to project their opinions. Facts. They do love to project their opinions. But when you a 15-year-old girl and you're just trying to make it, survive trauma, people will put that trauma on you. They will try to turn your trauma into your future. And you got to let them know, no, just because I went through trauma doesn't mean that I'm going to be like in the same footsteps as my mom. That doesn't mean I'm going to be a 14-year-old mother. So when they said things like that to me, I was like in my head thinking, you just don't know me. You just don't know the vision that I have for myself. And many times people can't see your vision because they think you're young, you're dumb, you making mistakes. They hold every mistake against you, and they don't realize it's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all have to go through that. That's why I love talking to the young people who kind of have went to the left a little bit. It's okay. It's a part of life. So yeah, that's why they didn't teach us ownership, guys. And I hope this helps someone just realize that you have to own your life. Let's see. Where's my picture? Own your life. So here's the 4 pillars of true ownership. When you own your mental health, when you own your time, when you own your energy, and you own your consistency. This is how you master yourself and master life. All right. Thank you for the rose, Dr. Ace. I really appreciate it. Okay, guys. So my connection here on YouTube has been very shabby. I just kept talking because I got my TikTok family here. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you watch this on the replay, make sure you go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Make sure you are following. And I will be live again tomorrow. I'm trying to be consistent still. You know, it's just something that I have to master. And it's not as easy as I thought it would be. Can you send me the 4 pillars via direct message? Yes. I will send that once I'm done. All right? Keep it up. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I will see you guys tomorrow. This has been another episode of the Hood2Hooded Podcast with your host, Dr. Cheapest Sunflower. I'm about to go enjoy my Saturday. And I'll see y'all later.
Roots run deep, yeah, the power gon' show. Better let 'em know. Yeah. Born from the soil, yeah, the land on my name. Feet on the ground, but my spirit untamed. Sun on my crown, I remember the flame. Before they rewrote it, before all the change. Copper tone skin, yeah, shimmer and speak. Every ray hit different, it's power now weak. They tried to erase, but the truth never sleep. Now we rising again, yeah, the cycle complete. Feel it in my bones, I don't gotta breathe in. Light in my spirit, it don't gotta bend. Same my face, no more again.
There is no way y'all tap 22.8K hearts. What? Man, we broke a record this week. 22.8K hearts on TikTok. See, this is why I show up for my TikTok family, because I have my hearts covered because it's like a distraction. And at the end, I just say, hey, we pumped this many hearts. But 22.8K? Y'all show out. I love y'all TikTok family. Thank you, and I will see y'all later. Bye.